Welcome to this class. Today, we are looking at some top JUPEB economic questions. Please come with me, particularly at this time as you prepare for your exams. 1. Using appropriate illustrations and examples. Explain how the economic problems of a society are solved in different economic systems. If you understand this question well, you agree with me that two topics were joined together. One, the economic problems, and two, economic systems. So when you are presenting your answers should reflect these two basic areas. Okay. Now let's see the answers I provided for this question. Every society faces basic economic problems. That is a fact. And what are these problems? What to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce. These problems are solved differently depending on the type of economic system in place. So you can see now how I'm able to marry the two topics or subtopics together. The problems and of course the systems. So let's see the next step. Now that has been established from this first step. Okay? Now the next step is also to let the examiner know that you know the three major types of economic system. The capitalist economy or market economy, the socialist economy or planned, or some call it command economy, and of course the mixed economy system. So far we have established or mentioned the two major concepts that are married together in the question. One, economic problems, and of course economic systems. So the next thing is for us to now look at them one after the other. For the capitalist economy, that's the market system. We are asked to give examples, okay? We have example of United States, Germany, and of course Japan. Now, how are economic problems solved in this type of economic system? Okay, so we are looking at solutions to the problems in a capitalist state. So let's look at them together now, okay? Now, what to produce? Who determines what to produce in a market economy situation? It is determined by the consumer demand and of course the profit motive of the producers, okay? So the producers makes what is profitable. They produce what is profitable to them, particularly based on the demand of the consumer. How are they producing? It is the producers who are known as the bourgeoisie that choose what to produce based on the lowest cost and of course the best available technology. For what to produce in a market economy is based on the purchasing power of the consumer. Okay? That is, who can pay to get the goods or the service. That is for the market economy. Now let's see for the socialist economy. Or let me give you an illustration on that market economy first before we go to the socialist. If smartphones are in high demand, more firms will produce them to make more profit, okay? Only those who can afford to buy them can buy them. That is illustration for the market economy. Now let's look at the socialist economy. We have example of the USSR, the former USSR, of course, North Korea, Cuba. These are live countries operating this economic system, planned or command economy. So how are economic problems being solved in this system of economy? So let's see how they solve it in socialist economy. How to produce. Since it is a command economy, who is commanding it? The government. Okay? So the government assigns resources and determines the production method, whether labor intensive or capital intensive. Now, for whom to produce? As long as the government is in charge, goods are distributed based on need, not based on ability to pay. Government distributes these goods based on the need of the people, not particularly based on ability to pay. Remember, government is in charge. So let me give you an illustration. The government may decide to produce more public housing for citizens, whether it is profitable or not. What matters is that government aims to provide housing for its people. So whether it's profitable or not, government will go ahead to do it. It's a public good. That is what happened in a socialist economy. Now, let's see for a mixed economy. In a mixed economy like Nigeria, UK, France, South Africa, let's see how economic problems are being solved. Okay, as we move on this. Yes, for what to produce, both the government and the private sector decide what to produce. Remember, that's mixed economy. Okay, the combination of both private and government. The same applies to how to produce. Both the private firms and the government, they intervene for equity for how to produce. Likewise, for whom to produce, the market forces and the government policies influence distribution of whom to produce the goods that are produced, who is going to benefit them. Okay, so let's see an illustration for this. In Nigeria, where private farms grow and sell food for profit, the government may import or subsidize rice to ensure food security. That's what is happening at the moment in Nigeria. So if you're able to do this, you can also as well draw diagram to illustrate this interpretation I've given to you, and I think you can do that by yourself. So as to save our time, let me go quickly to the next question, number 2. Distinguish between the following cost concepts: implicit and explicit cost, fixed and variable cost, average and marginal cost. So let's see the answers I provided for this particular question. Implicit and explicit cost. Explicit cost means direct costs, out-of-pocket expenses, like wages, like rent, raw materials. These are explicit costs. While implicit cost means indirect cost, that is, your opportunity cost, such as the value of resources used, but not directly paid for. E.g., as a manufacturer, as the owner of the business, when you are using your time and you are not paying for that time, or when your equipment are depreciating, these are all implicit costs. That is, the opportunity cost, the indirect cost that may not reflect at a point. Then we have fixed and variable costs. Fixed costs, costs that remain constant regardless of production level, rent, salary, insurance, at least at the short run. At the short run, these costs are fixed. Okay? Then we'll go to the next one, variable costs. Costs that vary with production level, like raw materials, like labor, like marketing. The more you produce, of course, we're expecting that the more expenses that are being killed in the cost of production as regards the raw materials being bought or the labor engaged, as well as the expenses of marketing. All right? Now, average cost and marginal cost. These are the explanations you are giving to the examiner to show them you actually know this, because you are asked to explain them or to define them. Okay? Average cost is the total cost divided by the quantity produced. All right? Remember, we have AC equals to change in total, that is total cost over total quantity produced. All right? Okay? Then for marginal cost, we have that's MC, changes in total cost and changes in what? The quantity. All right? That is the additional cost that is incurred for one more extra unit being produced. Additional cost incurred for one more extra unit being what? Produced. That is your marginal cost. All right? That is for 2A. Let's look at 2B. Explain 4 features of a perfect competitor. In other words, they're asking you the characteristics, the elements that distinguish a perfect competitor from other markets, right? 1, there are many buyers and sellers in this market, okay? So no single buyer or seller can influence the market price. Why? Each firm is a price taker. You are giving a price before you go to sell in the market. When you are giving a price as a price taker, you must accept the market determined price. That's the first elements of a perfect competitive market. The next one is homogeneous product. In this perfect market, all firms sell identical or very similar products. So buyers do not prefer one firm's product to another because they are similar, they're almost the same. There's no difference between those products, okay? For instance, basic agricultural goods like maize. Maize is maize anywhere. It could be yellow, it could be white. The same thing with wheat, all right? Then in this market, another feature of this market is free entry and free exit. Firms can enter or leave the market freely without major barriers, okay? This ensures that in the long run, firms earn normal profit. Abnormal profit is not attainable as far as this perfect market is concerned. Let's see another feature again of a perfect market. Perfect knowledge of the buyers and the sellers. They have full information about the prices, about the product, and of course about the conditions of operation in the market, okay? Because everybody has access to this knowledge, the market is transparent enough. And because of this transparency, there is fair competition, and this prevent any firm from taking advantage of another firm or taking advantage of the market. All right, this comes to the end of that number 2 question. Now, this is number 3 question we are looking at. This is a long calculation question. All right, you are given a function. Consider the Nigerian income model. This is an income model given to you. All right, y equals c plus I plus g plus bracket n xm. You know that the y is national income, okay? C is consumption, I is investment, G is government expenditure, N import, and X export, okay? Now you are given C, consumption, as this equation, and you are given investment at 100, you are given government expenditure at 100, and of course you are given tax. This T is tax, 0.2y minus 40, and NX, that is export and import, you are given this equation. So we are going to solve each one of these step by step as the time will permit us. Now, we have seen the equation given to us. This is the question that follows the equation. Calculate A, geometrically derive the equilibrium level of income. B, calculate equilibrium level of income. C, calculate the value of consumption expenditure. D, calculate the value of net exports. E, calculate the value of tax revenue. And F, calculate from the analysis what nature of budget is operating in the Nigerian economy. So this is typical of Nigerian economy. And G, what are the effects of foreign trade on the equilibrium income of Nigerian economy? So we're going to take each one of them one by one, just as the question stated. Now, this, just to remind us, this was the equation the examiner gave us, all right? And this equation similarly just represents national income, okay? So we start, and this is C. Remember I told you C is consumption. We are given an equation. This consumption function. I told you I means investment, okay? G is government expenditure. T is the tax function. Not just the tax, we are given a function of tax, which means we have to determine that and calculate that. Okay, this Y actually means the disposable income. You know that when the tax is higher, your disposable income reduces. Okay, so that Y there, I think it's supposed to have been YD, right? This power D, that's disposable income. Okay, why this is net export, that is imports minus exports. Okay, please take note of this, that just what I just said now, that your tax affects your disposable income, huh? which in turn affects your consumption. As your tax increases, your disposable income reduces. And remember that disposable income is represented by Y raised to power D. Okay? So when your disposable income is low, just look at this, my arrow. As your tax increases, disposable income what? Reduces. As it reduces, it affects your consumption. Your consumption will also what? Reduce. Because you can only spend what you have. Okay? So we must revise the consumption function to depend on disposable income. Okay? So let's see now. the first question, the first answer, A, geometry derived equilibrium income. This is this. So let's see. Since we have the equation here, we'll just follow the equation step by step. Okay? Now we are reversing now. Why? To reflect disposable income. So this is disposable income. This YD is Y raised to power D disposable income. Okay? Which gives us this. Huh? Just bring out those equations given to you. We are given about 6 equations. We are just putting them together and reflecting on them one by one. Now, what we need to do now is to start to open up the brackets and substitute for all our equations. Like here now, this is conservative function given to us. So this 0.5 times 0.8y, okay, will give us 0.6y, okay? 0.75y will give us 10 times 8 will give us what? 6. That's what we have here. So 200 is still here. Our 200 is still here. Then this times this give us this. So that's why we have the 0.6y. Okay. This times, remember you're opening the bracket. When you're opening the bracket, you multiply this by this and also by this. So we have plus 6. All right. Which equals to what? This. 206. So what do you have? 0.6 plus 6. That is 0.6y. So we have this now. Will now become 206. Like manners. This O number, this O number. So what do you have now? You have 206 plus 0.6y. That's what you have here. I hope that is clear. Or should I show you quickly again? We want to open this. All these equations were given to us. Was given to us from the first analysis. All right? We are just opening it up. And what did I say? This multiplied by this. Will give you this. Okay? Then this multiplied because you're opening the brackets. The law of mathematics, BODMAS. Okay? This times this also give us this. All right? These are like numbers. So this plus this give us what? This. And this one comes to its own. So 206 plus 0.6y. That's our consumption is equal to what? 206 plus 0.6y. Now that we have gotten our consumption here, we can now bring the consumption to whatever we see C. We can now locate our national income. Okay? We are looking for this all along, and we have gotten it here by this my calculation. Okay? Investment was given to us. Expenditure was given to us. Export and import was also given to us as a function. So we'll now plug in all those values to find our national income. So let's see now, let's go. We are plugging the value now. So national income equals to consumption, the one we just gotten now. After we open the bracket, multiplication we got there. Then the investment given to us. Government expenditure also given to us. Import and export also given to us as an equation. So let's simplify all this now. How do we simplify them? Let's see. Okay? So we have it this way. Now 206 plus 100. Now we're bringing the like times together at this point. Okay? So bring our 206 O number. We'll bring it to this, and to this. That's why 1, 2, 3. 300 put together. Okay? That gives us what? 506. Are you with me? Then we have 0.6y. Bring together what was 0.15y. Okay? And remember that this is plus. Why this is what? Negative, minus. Okay? So 0.6y minus, that's plus 0.6y minus 0.15. What do you have? 6 minus 15. That will give us what? 0.45. And that's what we have here. So we have gotten our income here. Our y as this. 506 plus 0.45. Are you with me? Now we are solving for y. We are looking for y now using this new equation we derived. We are able to achieve this equation from the one that was given to us, the general equation given to us. That's y plus c plus I plus g plus export and import. So we're able to arrive to this point from there. So now we need to solve for y now. How do we solve for y? We just bring it down. Okay? So we have 0. Y minus 0.45 equals 506. All right. Now you have to open the bracket at this point between these two. Okay. I think that is 506 multiplied by 0.454. Okay. Because this is y here. This is y here. So when we move it to this side, crossing the bridge, 1y plus this give us this. Okay, so we have 920. This is the level of equilibrium of Nigerian economy. 920. That's the level of equilibrium of Nigerian economy, which is similar to A. A and B. This is the level of equilibrium now. All right. So let's see C now. Answer to C. What is the value of consumption? Remember, we are given equation for consumption. They gave it to us from the beginning. So what we do now is to now bring our equation down and reflect the y that we've gotten, which is our national income. Whenever you see y, replace it with what? 920. We just gotten that now. So 206 from the equation given to us that we derive initially plus 0.6y. Y is now 920. So 0.6 times 920 will give you what? Because the bracket here means multiply times 120. That will give you 552. Okay? So 552 plus 206 give us what? 758. So our level of consumption is what? 758. All right? Let's go on and see. Now, what's the value of net exports? That's the difference between export and import. Remember, they also gave it to us. But they gave it to us as what? As equation. NS equals 100 minus 0.15y. Okay? Which means since we know our y now, our income, we can always put it there. Substitute for y. So 100 minus 0.5, 920. Just multiply, like I told you, opening the bracket, multiply by 920. Will give us 100 minus 138. That is minus 38. Remember, okay? So this is negative. What's the implication of this negative? Let's see. The implication of negative. It shows you that we are in deficit. But we are coming to that because we are asked to interpret it later. We see the interpretation before the end of this number. So what about tax revenue? How do we get our tax? Remember also, they gave us equation for tax. Everything we are using now, they gave us. The only thing we calculated for was for consumption and also for what? Income. We only calculated for consumption and for income. And since we have gotten consumption and income, we fix them in. They gave us investment, they gave us government expenditure, okay? So the only one we are looking for was Y and C. And as we got it, we just substitute for them in the equation. For others, they gave us the equation and then we substitute for tax. E, we are given equation also, T 0.2Y 40. And remember, we have gotten our Y, which is 920. Just replace Y with 920 and we have 0.280. 0.2 times 880. And when you're opening the bracket, I just told you, is what? Times. So we times it, and what do we have? 176. So this is our value of tax revenue. So what kind of budget do you think Nigerian government is operating from this calculation? We compare government expenditure and tax revenue. Government expenditure is what? 100 given to us. The tax is 176. We just derived that right now. So since tax is greater than government expenditure, the government has what? A budget surplus. In other words, government is earning more. Tax is revenue for government. So this tax represents revenue. Okay? So which means revenue greater than what? Expenditure of government. So at this point, it's a government is what? Operating surplus budget. What's a surplus budget? When revenue is greater than what? Expenditure. Okay? Now, we'll come to the trade. G, what is the effect of foreign trade on the equilibrium income? What is the effect? Remember, they gave us this equation from the beginning. They were given to us. We're looking at foreign trade now. Foreign trade is export and import. So at equilibrium, our answer we got earlier, income is 920. All right? So when we are replacing it now, what do you have? We are going to have this. We just solved it initially. 100 minus 0.5 times what? 920. We did that earlier, where we got minus 38. And that minus 38, I just told us, is negative. And negative means what? Deficit trade. So we have deficit trade from that negative. Now the question now is, what are the effects on this? That's also part of the question given to you, the effects of that Nigerian economy income model. One, there's reduction in aggregate demand. Why did we say demand reduce? Because the income, the net exports, that's different between income and export, is negative. Okay, so it reduces what? Total output. It reduces income that we get in that economy. Okay, two, there's also leakages. There are leakages from circular flow of income. Why? More money is spent on import than earned from export. By so doing, it's draining the revenue that we think we have gotten. The money we got, we are paying more on export than what we are receiving from, we are paying more on import than what we are receiving from export. Three, another effect that will happen on this economy, this income model, is that there's depreciation pressure on the currency. Do you know why? When you continually having deficit in your trade, foreign trade, when it's deficit over the years, there will be pressure on your currency, and your currency will become weakened, become devalued. And that's what's happening to Nigeria today. You can imagine Nigerian currency as at the time of independence, when we have very robust economy based on agricultural products. As at that time, 1 naira was greater than what? $1. Was more than $1. Was more than $1. Because the equivalent of 1 naira then was about 2 pounds. But today, what are we saying? In a dollar today is close to around 1,600 naira in the black market. A dollar today is 1,600 naira. That's how bad it has become, because we have continually, persistently having deficit trade, balance of trade and balance of payment. And because of that, our currency has become weakened. Okay? So these are the effects on this income model. Another effect to observe is foreign dependence. In other words, most of our consumption are imported items, imported goods. So we now depend highly, so much on imported goods. And because of that, our local industries will become weakened. They cannot be strong, okay? Because our taste is on what? Foreign products. So at the end of the day, foreign trade is losing the equilibrium income due to what? A trade deficit. Our income is reducing year by year because we have what? Deficit trade. It's supposed to be increasing, but because our net export is lower than zero, then we are losing out in our equilibrium income. So this is the effects of that income model of the Nigerian economy that the examiner was asking you to present in number 3. Okay. Now let's see, as time will permit us, we'll look at the next question set by the examiner on this JUPEB, even as you prepare for your own exam. Okay. These are likely exam questions. Okay. You remember what I said earlier. Define the term national debt. In other words, what is national debt? National debt refers to the total amount of money that a country government owes to creditors, both domestic and foreign. So when you say government is owing, government owes contractors. They give contracts and they are owing, they have not paid. So these are internal debts. Okay? National debt arises from the accumulation of budget deficit, which occur when the government expenditure exceeds its revenue over time. This is what I explained in number 3. That when we continually experience deficit budget over time, our income, our equilibrium income will fall. And as it falls, we will need more money to carry out our projects. By so doing, we start borrowing money. Okay, we run into debt. So national debt is generally categorized into, let's see the categories that I mentioned in this place, into 2 of them. Of course, from the definition I gave to you, domestic debt and foreign debt. Domestic debt are all the debt that government is owing within, like the one they're owing contractors and what have you. Then foreign debt are the one we owe foreign lenders, like IMF, like World Bank, like the international organizations that will loan took or even countries. We take loan from China, we're owing China, we're owing US, you know, although some of them we do buy back, we pay back with our crude oil, okay? Now, the next question the examiner is asking you is, why government borrow money? Why is government not self-sufficient on their own? And let me shock you. It'll be interesting to hear that US, being the richest country in the world, is also what the biggest debtor in the world. So why government borrow money? Even US, as rich as US is, US still borrows money. Okay? So, reasons for public debt. That's what the examiner is asking you. Let's see. 1, to finance budget deficits. When government revenue, particularly taxes, are insufficient, when the money government is generating from tax is not enough to cover all its expenses, government would afterwards borrow money to fill that gap. This is practical of Nigeria. Government coming, both old and new government, even the current government, they have been borrowing and borrowing to finance the deficit in the budget. Another reason why government borrow money or owe debt is to finance infrastructural projects, roads, power plants or stations, hospitals. You know, these are long-term infrastructure, and they involve a lot of money that government may not be able to get it readily available, or to just tie. Even when government has this money, they wouldn't want to tie this money just on that infrastructure, which is a long term. They may prefer to use the money for other things that are needed immediately, while they get loans to attend to these other long-term projects. Okay? Let's see another reason why government owe debts: to respond to emergencies. Sometimes there are emergencies, natural disaster, pandemics, or wars. Okay? And government may not be able to meet up with it. So they need to what? A kind of borrow money, so as to meet up with this last case spending for immediate needs. Another reason is to stabilize the economy during economic downturns. Inflation, deflation, stagflation, and what have you. Economic time to do a turnaround for the economy, the government may decide to borrow money so as to stimulate growth. And by stimulating growth, that will increase the spending of government to make sure that the economy is stabilized again, just like what the current government is doing. Another reason for public debt is to service the existing debt. Is that not funny to you? You borrow money to pay loan. You borrow debt to service debt. Yes, we are doing it in Nigeria today. Sometimes government borrow to refinance or to pay interest on previous loan. The reason is that if you don't borrow money to pay the interest, the thing will be accumulating. And when it become what they call capital interest, it will now expand, compound interest. The money, the debt will be multiplied and double. So to avoid that, it's better for you to be servicing. In fact, there was a particular government that the only thing they could do in Nigeria was to be servicing the debt, not even paying the actual debt, but they just keep on servicing and servicing. Why? So that the interest will not become a compound interest. The compound interest will make the debt to become doubled. So to avoid that, you must service your debt by paying the interest. Okay? Yes. All right. Now the part C of that number, I think it's number 4 question, is asking us, how could domestic debt be managed? When there is internal debt, how can a government manage it? The first thing I'm suggesting that the government will use to manage this debt is by debt restructuring. How do I mean by this? They can renegotiate the terms, the interest, and the payment periods. Possibly they agree with the internal creditors that they will pay back within 3 years. Okay? Government can renegotiate the number of years if it can be extended to 5 years for easy payment, or they can also renegotiate the interest rate on that particular debt. The reason is to make it more easier for them to pay. While they are attending to immediate needs and other needs of the people, then they can also continue paying the debt. And what other ways can government manage internal debt? By promoting economic growth. As the economy is growing, particularly when we are earning more money from tax, our revenue is increasing. It will make it easier for us to what? To service our debt. And that is why, if you notice lately, there was what they call tax reforms done by the current government. I think it was just about 2 months ago that the new government released what? Tax reforms, whereby government can make more money through taxes. Now we even have multiple taxes, okay? And as they're making more money, they're hoping that the economy will grow. And by so doing, it will be easier for the government to pay up our debts. Another way of managing government debt is strengthening revenue generation, okay? By expanding the tax base, improving the collection of that tax, and of course, avoiding excessive borrowing. Another way is issuing long-term bonds. I don't know if I've heard about bonds. Government can also what? Sell bonds, introduce bonds to the people so as to what? Get money, so as to what? Settle their bills. The next one is government can also control spending. This is a major problem in Nigeria today. Excessive spending, wasteful spending on the part of those people in government. If this can be attended to, I think there will be more money to do better things for Nigerian society. All right? The last question I will treat today is this. This number 5. It said, with reference to the Nigerian economy, enumerate the developmental objective of an economy. We are talking, that is, with particular reference to Nigerian economy. What are you suggesting that will be objectives of developmental economy? Okay? Developmental objectives are goals set to improve the economy, both social, institutional condition of the economy of the country. So how can we improve Nigerian economy? Through the developmental objective. 1, economic growth. 2, poverty reduction. Okay? And this all can be done in so many ways, particularly to reduce the percentage of people who are living below poverty line. That's where we are right now. When they say poverty, Nigeria is the capital, or it's a poverty capital of the world. So what can government do to see that they can reduce the poverty level? 3, what again can government do in such a way that will bring about development? Employment generation. There's high level of unemployment in Nigeria. So you need to generate employment such a way that the youth will be engaged and become productive. Another way of developmental objective for government of Nigeria is to reduce income inequality. At the moment, the gap is too wide between the rich and the poor. Those days we used to have the middle class. The middle class have disappeared. Okay? So the government needs to find a way of reducing this gap, this inequality between the rich and the poor. And lastly, before I will drop on this question, is diversification of the economy. We depend solely on crude oil. Thank God lately we're making more money from tax anyway. But then we need to diversify the economy, not just from oil. We need to look into agricultural products. We have solid minerals. This country is so rich, you understand, in solid minerals. We need to improve manufacturing, okay, so as to make money for other sectors in order to improve our economy. Because of the sake of time, I'm going to stop at this point. But if you have any other questions, please, you can drop it on this channel, and I'm going to attend to it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm sure you enjoyed the content you just watched. To see more episodes as that, preparing you for your oncoming exams, smash the subscribe button on this channel right now and visit the playlist that we've made for you, covering over 50 type of different exams, including JAMB, WAEC, Kakao, NEET, IALT, and the likes like that. Also, in every video you watch, we have the link to our apps where you can download on Google Play Store and Apple Play Store and practice hundreds of past questions for free.